I like this gentleman, but I would like to start from this picture there. But first, I think I have to thank the ministers and everybody who participated in this event. I'm very happy because it was really very, very impressive. It was on substance, and we have learned a lot, all of us, from this meeting. So it's a lot to be done, and what I can promise is that my services who were there attending the meeting, we are going to do our best in order to come with some guidelines that will take on board almost all the suggestions we have made, because I can see that almost all of the suggestions were reasonable and up to the point. But let me start from here. I have seen a lot of pictures today, but I have asked my team to present for the end this picture, because this is the challenge. This is the challenge. If you see what's coming with fish consumption and with fish production, then you can see the gap. So, to make a long story short, what is our task from this conference? To fill this gap. This is our motto. We have to fill this gap. Because as a lot of you have explained already, there will be an increasing consumption of fish. Absolutely. We had also the very interesting intervention by FAO referring to the global level, but also we have some interesting interventions. For example, the last Irish intervention showed us that referring to a European level, we'll have this to face. So we have to fill this gap. And a lot of you also, and especially representatives of the sectors, you have already referred to this gap one way or another, mentioning that we have some obstacles to overcome. So we have to be cautious. What's happening here? We have the technology, we are leaders, we have the best aquaculture in the world, we Europeans, absolutely the best. I really believe it, and usually I'm not saying a lot of good words referring to our economy, but here we are leaders. We are leaders. In aquaculture, we are leaders. Our products are the best, are sustainably produced, the best. So we are, yes, I really believe it. We are the best, but still stagnating. So there are some obstacles we have to overcome. And we have to look carefully and be concrete referring to these obstacles. So, about aquaculture, I have to clarify that this is not an exclusive European competence. This is not an exclusive competence of the Commission. It's a competence shared with member states. For example, referring to Spain, I have to share this competence with the minister and also with the minister of this region here. We have to work together. So we have also to clarify what is our responsibility, who is going to do what. So let me say a few words about it, because I think that it will be easier for us to work together if we know what the European Commission can do, what the national authorities can do, what the local authorities can do. I think that you mentioned a lot about some obstacles, and I would like to start from main two obstacles: time for licensing and space for aquaculture. We all agree, and there is a consensus here, that time and space are very, very important if we want to boost the aquaculture sector. I would like to say that, in general, these are national competencies. I'm not saying this just to avoid my responsibilities. I'll explain to you what we're trying to do. But this is up to our member states. The national governments, they give the licenses according to their national legislation, and they also find the space inland or in sea, everywhere, for aquaculture projects. But what we can do, what the Commission can do to help? First, of course, we would like to exchange good practices and harmonize. And so in our guidelines, what we're trying to do is to discuss with the member states where exactly this red tape is and what we can do for that. This is what our guidelines are going to do. And this idea of having until the end of next year the national plans from the member states, it's an idea because we would like also to discuss with them and help them to overcome these difficulties. Some ministers told me in a council meeting that this is a kind of control from the Commission to the member states. This is not true. The member states are going to decide. We cannot give more licenses, even if we want to. The member states are going to give the licenses, but what we can do is to discuss with them their national plans, and if we can harmonize the practices in order to facilitate aquaculture, then this we can do. Also, we can help with taxpayers' money, and as you know very well, money is not a detail, not at all, especially in the middle of a crisis like this. So this is the way we are going to handle this problem, trying to harmonize, to solve the problem, to exchange good practices, and find the way to go forward. But let me say a few words on the substance, about time and space. About time. I think that what we have to have in mind here is that we have a lot of problems of bureaucracy. Yes, it is true, national bureaucracy. But sometimes, I would like to say, to be completely open with you, it's not an issue of administration. What's happening? Sometimes the national or the regional authorities, they don't want to give more licenses. Why? Because sometimes it's not popular. Let me put it this way. It's not popular to give more licenses in a region. We don't have a lot of space. There are conflicts about the space, how we are going to do it. We need space for tourism, for a lot of other actions, so it's not easy to give licenses. And also, there are some perceptions about aquaculture. We had excellent interventions from Germany and also from other member states underlying this problem. So it's the red tape, but sometimes the red tape is an alibi, not giving licenses because of perception. So here we can help. The Commission can help if we can provide data, and I'm coming back to this, scientific data, to prove that we can have sustainable aquaculture, we can have aquaculture projects friendly to the environment, if we can also combine aquaculture with other actions. For example, in Finland, I have seen an excellent project of aquaculture which was combined with energy-producing actions. So you see, we can find these ways to go forward, and here we can be helpful. Also, it's the same about space. We have to find special planning tools, and we are going to do this. We're going to do this with our Maritime Special Planning Directive and also about other instruments in order to facilitate our member states to do it. Also, we can spread positive examples. I think that the last Irish example about offshore aquaculture in deep seas is a very good example. Of course, it needs money because the investment will be bigger. We have to grow the investment. We need a bigger cost, a higher cost, but this is the way really to go forward because it can give us a lot of solutions for a lot of the problems we have already mentioned. And here what we can do is to give you the input from the science to do so. So, time and space, shared competencies, the member states are going to do, we are going to press them, we are going to spread good practices, but also we have to do our homework. What are our competences as a European Commission? I would like to say that there are 3 points, 3 issues, 3 pillars on which we can have a contribution, really productive contribution. First, science. Second, the image of aquaculture, and third, the level playing field. We have discussed a lot about it, so let me refer to these pillars because I think these are our job, our services, our people's job to do. About science. I hope that we're going to have a budget, a European budget. You know that we have some difficult discussions now in Brussels in the summit. I hope that we're going to have a budget, and I hope that the money, the funding for research and innovation will be there, and we're going to have money for giving more scientific information to you and more scientific advice to you. But referring to the science, we have already heard about some excellent work which is already done in order to create a database and also to find the indicators that we have to work on in order to prove to our citizens that we can have aquaculture which is friendly environmentally, and also we can have aquaculture that can respect the fish welfare and also face the problem of diseases, of health of the fish that we have already heard about. So I think that the science can help us in these ways: indicators for a more friendly environmentally aquaculture. Second, health of the fish, handling the diseases and the dangers we have there. And there is a third point I would like to underline, and this is diversification of aquaculture production. We cannot go on just with salmon, sea bream and sea bass. These are the species. We need more, and of course, mussels. Here in Galicia, I have to refer to mussels because it's rather natural. So we have to work a little bit more in order to have more products. More products. We need more products. We cannot wait from the third countries to see what they are doing. And we can do that. I have attended a lot of conferences and events, and I have visited a lot of projects referring, for example, to bluefin tuna. This is a very precious species. If we can have production, aquaculture production, a lot can be changed. Why? Because this will be also an alternative to overfishing, which is the problem we face now. So here we can do a lot. Science is our responsibility, and we have to work more to give you more advice. Second, the image of aquaculture. Yes, sometimes there are public opinions perceptions. I think that now we have worked a lot and we have overcome the perception which was there during the last decade about the quality of the fish that's coming from aquaculture. Now the people believe that the products of aquaculture are healthy in general. I have seen, of course, we have some problems, but I think that we have a great improvement in the way the citizens think about the fish which is coming from aquaculture. We had a progress here. But we have some other perceptions. For example, I have heard a lot of times, not just once, that we need 3 kilos of fish to produce just a kilo of fish in aquaculture, which is not true. Which is not true, but it's spread everywhere, or that aquaculture will be the destroyer of our seas, and so on and so on. So here, on these perceptions, we have to work more. We have to work more in order to find the best solutions. And I can say that I cannot be sure about it, I cannot promise, but I can just inform you that we're working now. I'm working with the environmental services of the Commission, and if we will be able, during the first months of next year, to go together with Commissioner Potocnik, which is the Commissioner responsible for the environment, with some ideas about how we can reconcile nature and aquaculture and what we can do with Natura areas, this will be a great, in my opinion, will be a great support in order to boost aquaculture. If we persuade our citizens that we can have aquaculture in Natura areas, of course, under control, under strict conditions, and if we can persuade our citizens that aquaculture can be environmentally friendly, then I think that we'll gain one more battle, and this is something we have to do. A second point referring to the image is an information campaign. We have gone through this campaign, but we can come back perhaps. We're working now with the stakeholders and the representatives and NGOs all of them, we want them to be, we are going to work with them in the Regional Advisory Council if the reform is in place. I hope, Minister, that next year it will be in place. Okay, so if the reform is in place next year, then we can have this Regional Advisory Council for Aquaculture, and there we can work to go for a campaign that can cover all the gaps we are going to find referring to the information we are giving to citizens about aquaculture. And third, there is a big problem of good information to the consumers, the big labeling problem. We have tried a little bit, and we have gone up to a certain point referring to labeling. Now all the fish products will have a label saying if the fish is fresh or defrosted. I think this will be a great victory. It's not there yet, but if we can be successful on that, this will be a great victory for our aquaculture production and also for our small-scale fisheries. Because as we can imagine, fresh fish, fresh mussels or whatever is coming from Europe. If you are traveling from Eastern Asia to come to Europe, you cannot be fresh. So we have to follow WTO rules, but if we are going to have this label, this will be a great victory. This will be a great victory. And of course, there are a lot of other ideas here. I have heard from you, and we're going to try to do our best about it. Then it comes the last point by my side, and this is the famous level playing field. What we can do about it. So, what we can do? Well, I don't want to promise things which the Commission cannot do, but what I can promise is that, of course, we are going to follow WTO rules, but then I think that we can be more strict about the controls when we import fish, health controls, the other controls about the traceability, let me put it this way, of the products which we are importing. It's not easy. It's not an easy task here. It's not an easy task. And we have to work together about this. We have to work together, really, because if we have the stakeholders, the national authorities and the regional authorities controlling the ports and the facilities and everything, it will be easier to see where a fish is coming from. And in order to do it, we have to act at an international level. So let me explain this. If we want traceability of the fish products that we are importing, we have to follow the same rules for the products we are producing or fishing in our waters. So we need the credentials as a European Commission to go in the outside world to discuss with the United States, for example, with Chinese authorities, with the others, in the United Nations, in our meetings with FAO, to work together to combat illegal fisheries. Last week in Brussels, we have announced a list of 8 countries that are not cooperative referring to the fisheries production. This is not an easy way to go. This is very, very important. Because at the end of the day, if they are not going to be cooperative with us, we can pose trade measures against them, the Council of Ministers and the Commission together. So it's not easy. We are starting. We are starting now, and we are going to continue having better control of what we import. But also we need to have a good image in the outside world. That's why sometimes we have to persuade our partners, global partners, that we are playing according to the rules. That's why we need to persuade them that our fisheries, the fishing methods we are using, are really sustainable. That's why I need to promote the reform. The reform of the fisheries policy is a prerequisite to persuade all these fellows that we are moving together. And they are asking from us, are you fishing sustainably? If you are coming to us and ask for better controls, That's why we need some decisions which sometimes are a little bit painful, even for Galicia. I know. It's not easy to say that we have to stop overfishing. It's not easy to say that we have to stop shark finning, and so on and so on. But we are doing this because we need the credentials to have a level playing field for everybody. And I hope this is the way we are going to ensure this level playing field for Mediterranean, for example, or for the North Sea, or for the other seas, the deep seas, where we're fishing together with other nations and other forces. To make a long story short, because I have taken a lot of time, it's not easy to have this competition when we live in a globalized world, an open world, with other nations, other countries that also can have some good products, and they can come and sell them in our markets. It's as simple as that. So we have to be the best, we have to be better at least, but also we have to have the right policy, the appropriate policy tools to overcome the obstacles that are there. This is what we are doing. And I think we can do it when we are going to finish all this preparatory work. The Commission, together with the Parliament, the European Parliament and the Council, we have to do our job. Level playing field, better image, better science, harmonization of practices, better funding. The national authorities, they have to do their work. Easier licenses, more space for aquaculture, and then of course you, the stakeholders, have to invest. And I hope that at the end of the day, the production will be there and it will be a win-win game. Thank you.